All right, so a lot has happened since that last video I made. It was supposed to be the last one, but there's too much more to talk about. Unfortunately, what has happened has not included a hell of a lot of work by the city in solving these problems. So I'm gonna do a follow-up again, um, based on location rather than chronologically. So I'm going to talk about what's going on at this bridge that doesn't exist. And I'm going to talk about what's been going on in Runnymede here and a little bit about Scarlett. These are three of Ward 5's cycling facilities: York South-Weston, York South and Weston. It's a weird name for the ward. And I'm also going to talk about this brand new one that goes through here. So strap yourself in. That's a weird thing to say. So get ready to be appalled and amazed. So on the 26th, I went to check out this bridge spot, and nothing had been done. Still, I had put in like a complaint about it. So, I was waiting to see what they would do. And in the meantime, breaking the law on the sidewalk. And then, unfortunately, on March 3rd, I found that nothing had been done still. I mean, it was kind of usable just because, the sun has actually been doing more for us here than the city has. In the meantime, though, I emailed our counselor about this. So I sent this big long email to Francis Nunziata, our local counselor, basically saying, what I had figured out and what I presented in my last video about this was that our problems are with slush and with leaf litter. And the slush freezing into ice sheets, and the leaf litter becoming speed bumps and clogging up the storm drains and stuff like that. And like if I hadn't done my own clearing on Scarlett Road in the fall, and if I hadn't like clearing out the storm drains, and if I hadn't done the same thing on the Runnymede underpass, both of those places would have been unusable all winter. So a little bit of work from me that the city should be doing but doesn't has solved that problem, and I have managed to sweep away some of the slush when it is slush before it freezes back into ice, but I haven't done a good enough job of that, and of course neither is the city. And so it's frozen back into ice, and then it becomes really hard to deal with, but I've taken matters in my own hands, and that's going to be later on in the video. But anyway, so I started this thing with the counselor, and her assistant got back to me saying, okay, I'll put you in touch with the counselor. Frances Nunziata herself called me up, and the thing is, I'm a huge Frances Nunziata fanboy. I like talking to her. For me is like talking to Elvis. So I'm like tongue tied and starstruck. But I managed to have a decent conversation with her. What she confirmed to me was, we are going to fix these places. Thank you for letting me know about them. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. That's great. And I had to like call her back and be like, there's one more thing. It's about the slush. And so one thing led to another. I ended up doing another follow-up email just to clarify what I had kind of failed to say, because Nunziata, to me, she's a star. She's like a political star, and yes, I'm a weirdo, but I'm. So when I'm dealing with her, it's like I'm trying to deal with a celebrity. So please, somebody else, please, help me out with this. But so she has confirmed that she's going to go to the city and try to get them to add slush into their like winter maintenance regime. And I'm hoping that that my follow-up email about why it's important, because it freezes back into ice, and also why the leaf litter is important and how it's not getting done. I hope that becomes part of her discussion with transportation services, so that might solve all these problems. But that's going to take some time, and in the meantime, I got to deal with 311. Hi, sorry about that. I'm calling in to check on a. Hi, sorry. Calling in to check on a complaint that I made about a service request that wasn't filled.
Okay, get the reference number. What's February 24? Okay, so it appears that they went out on February 26th and they found bike lane was plowed and salted. And there's a sign posted that the city does not plow lane.
Oh, I never.
So they closed it.
I never saw the that signpost. So just in that one place on the bridge, they don't maintain the cycling space?
That because it just says sign posted that the city does not plow lane. But when they went by on the 26th, that the bike lane was plowed and salted.
I think they were probably looking at the one that is further to the east. Because it was maintained like properly, but you can't get to it because the facilities before, like to get to it from either side, haven't been. And you know what? There isn't. I'm just looking at it on Google Maps Street View, and like, there's no sign saying that this portion of it is not maintained. So yeah, it's been covered in snow since mid-January.
And it's still covered in snow right now.
Yeah, just this segment of it, like west of Scarlett, it's fine. So you can bike all the way to Mississauga. East of this bridge, like between the bridge and Jane, it's fine. It's been done really well. East of Jane, up to Piran Park, it hasn't been. So there's this segment of like bike path between the east side of this bridge and Jane Street that's been maintained perfectly, but you can't get to it from either side. So a little bit of research on their part was required. So just to find out information about that spot. So I'm just doing my morning thing here.
Hi, sir. Thanks for calling. Okay,
Hi, no
so according to this, they say they don't plow that part of it. I guess that's what they're saying. Now, I can put in another dispute saying it's still not clear, or there's an option too. I'm not sure if you're there all the time. If you wanted to take some pictures of it to show exactly what you're talking about and send it to 311@toronto.ca. The same thing. It's a process that'll go through, but if you want to do that, it's up to you.
I mean, it's pretty much the same as it was in the last photo that I sent, and I sent it to...
Oh, you sent a photo to them?
Yeah, and I sent it with this complaint number in the subject line.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like what they're saying is they don't do that part of it. That's what I'm taking from the notes. They said it was all plowed and salted, and they does not plow that lane.
This is kind of weird here. They're like, so the cycling space was plowed and salted, but we don't do this cycling space. And they're talking about how there's a sign there saying that it doesn't get plowed, but there is no sign to that effect at all. Now, there is such a sign for this path through here. Right here, it says It will not be cleared of snow and ice. But that path right there is not this path right here. Somewhere between the people at 311 and the people at Transportation Services and the people at the, who are doing the winter maintenance, the contractors. And of course, we all know how details sometimes get lost in translation, slip through the cracks when subcontracting goes a little bit too far. Something is being lost, because in a lot of these situations, like the first thing, when I first put in this complaint, the first thing that the 311 person said is, well, the contractors said that this was about the sidewalk. I said, no, it's not about the sidewalk. And then they said, oh, yeah, no, you're right. They said that it is about the bike lane, but the bike lane was cleared. And it looked just like this. And so I thought, okay, maybe they're talking about this one, because this was cleared. You can't get to it, but it was cleared. And now they're saying, okay, well, this place is not a place that we do, and there's signs saying that we don't do it in the winter. Now, in my videos, in this street view, when I go there, there is no such sign. The only signs that are there are the ones declaring that it's a cycling space. Like, I don't know how you could show up here and be like, what bike path? Or show up here and be like, oh, it's fine, it's plowed when you're looking at this spot. Or get a service request or a complaint for the south side of Eglinton where it goes across the Humber River on a bridge, and say, oh, well, there's a sign, and you're talking about the sign that's here. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense. And it also doesn't make any sense that they would clear this place and not this place. There is no other way to get to this place. Like, otherwise, this facility is useful for cycling from the bus stop here to this neighborhood. Like, if you feel like using Emmett. And like, I don't. I don't feel like cycling up this part of Emmett. Like, just take my word for it, it sucks. Using that part of Emmett sucks so much that when I visit the Humber Valley, this is how I get into and out of it. Carrying my bike up and down this little informal path, which, as you can see, is very well trodden. And that's because, like, to get into the valley here, you can either go there, which is down through here, or you can walk across Eglinton here, where I have suggested that we should have a pedestrian/cyclist crossing island to take you to this path, which is a really great way to get down into the valley. Gets you down to this service road here. Awesome facility, except, oops, they promised not to plow it in the winter. So, yeah, this is how everybody gets into and out of the valley, because Emmett is just so annoying to bike on. It's not good for cycling. So, I don't know, maybe that's their whole reason for maintaining this one segment of cycling facility, but not the segment that leads to it from here, and not the segment that leads to it through here. I mean, this one is brand new. This is one of the things I discussed with the counselor, was let's make sure this brand new segment is part of the winter maintenance regime, because it hasn't been dealt with since the original snowdrift. Actually, it has been. They fixed it a little bit. Now, I'll talk about that segment now. So here's the part they do maintain between the last place I talked about over the bridge and the place I'm going to talk about now. on the east side of Eglinton Flats. This new bit of infrastructure is a total game changer. It allows people to actually get to the York Beltline Trail from the west. It basically connects up the only part of this route that was truly terrible, where you were basically stuck on the sidewalk. Okay, Eglinton is 70 kilometers an hour. I have biked up and down here on Eglinton on the road several times, but it sucks. So this is an awesome connection to have. But here I am just going up the sidewalk on the other side because they didn't plow it. I made a service request for this. It was supposed to be done on like the 23rd. And here I am on the 26th. Nothing's been done. So I'll just wait for that service request to go through. In the meantime, this is back in time breaking the law. So I went back to visit this spot yesterday, and they got rid of the little wire that was hanging across here. So that's good. Finally. That's good, but and they did some work on this. They did all the heavy lifting. This is the thing that just kind of I don't get. They almost completed it. They cleared most of the snow. A whole bunch more of it disappeared in the sun. But they missed a couple spots. They missed a few spots. They missed the spot that actually allows you to get to and from it from the side street here. And you can walk across that. That's fine. It just kind of mystifies me. I'm like, why do 90% of it if you're not going to do the whole thing? So, I mean, hey everybody, this facility is now usable, and the other spot all the way to the Eglinton Bridge is also usable. And you can use the sidewalk to get across the Eglinton Bridge if you really want. I don't think anybody's going to stop you. But now we're gonna find out whether this place is actually omitted from the plowing situation. So anyway, so the Scarlett Road situation, I kept watching my 311 request about this, and they put out two of them, one for the big piles of snow and one for the general snow clearance, and one of them got taken care of. The other one, I don't know if it's still outstanding. Yeah, check it out. What a joke. The expected service delivery time, February 22nd. Okay, that was a while ago. And at this point, it's almost totally usable. There's just a couple of spots that are messed up, but that's largely because I took matters into my own hands. Finally made a trip to Canadian Tire to get a few essentials for DIY winter maintenance. This was, I think, on the 26th, when it was just barely warm enough that a lot of the ice had turned back to slush, and I was like, you know what, it's going to freeze up tonight. I have a few hours to do what I can. So this great thing is kind of like a slush broom, basically. And look how easy it is to just take care of the slush when it's slush. This is slush that it has thawed into slush and then frozen back into ice like 5 times now. And each time we've had the opportunity to get rid of it in this very, very, very easy way. So, decided to do just that. I mean, it takes some time, but it's pretty easy when it's slush. So I did this spot, and where there's no barriers and the slush is like from the road with the shovel, clearing off the piles of slush. And just move on to the next spot and do it. And the problem is, I made a dumb move. After this, I looked at the weather on my cell phone and thought, oh my gosh, it's actually not about to freeze. It's about to thaw out even more, and all this work I'm doing is going to be for nothing. And, here's my laziness taking over, just finding any excuse to not continue when it would have been so easy to fix the rest of the lanes in the middle of the afternoon. I thought, you know what, I don't really have to do this. And then later on, I thought, oh, well, I'll come back at night and finish it up. At night, some of it was still slush. Some of it was easy to deal with, but not that easy. I had to scrape it because it would just a few hours of darkness and it had already started to freeze back up. And I thought, wow, I have totally played myself. I totally screwed up. I should have taken care of all of this in the afternoon. And this is what the city is doing too. They're figuring, well, it's just slush. Doesn't matter. It's fine. And then they wait until it's ice again. They don't spring at the opportunity. Anytime, what we need is a slush fund. A special allocation of money set aside so that anytime it's like we have a warm spell, they go out and just bike along all the cycle tracks, all the bike lanes throughout Toronto, just with brooms and shovels on cargo bikes or something like that, and just take care of all the slush when it's still slush, because this is what you have to do as soon as it starts to freeze just a little bit. It just becomes such a pain in the neck. But I was determined because I knew, if I didn't do this, this whole place would be impassable for another week. So, this is how I spent my my evening. Great times, real good times. All in all, I think I got like a quarter of the whole facility done. At this point, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to finish this one little spot and then go home. I can't. I played myself. So I finished up all the way to the end of this one direction of cycle tracks and then called it a night. And yeah. And then I biked home along all the stuff that I hadn't fixed, it wasn't going to fix. And some of this stuff is melted by now, but some of it still remains. And if I'd just taken care of it in the afternoon on that day, it could have been fine. I feel like such a fool. And then this is the part that I didn't take care of that night. It's like mostly good. It's not entirely good. But for those of you who want to use this spot, you can basically do it, just be careful. Along here it's fine. Mostly. Kind of. But as soon as you go up the hill here, the most important part, it's mostly good. But this is the stuff I didn't take care of. It would have been so easy just to sweep it aside when it was slush. I mean, the sun does take care of a lot, though. And I think they did come along and salt it. The city's doing so much, but they're hooking themselves up with so much extra work by not dealing with the slush. So hopefully the councillors' pleas to the city have results. Right now, you can use this space. Finally. Mostly. I'm definitely coming back next time we get a warm spell. So this is one of my favorite routes to work, one of my favorite routes to, well, it's the only good route to the grocery store that's right here. This is the intersection that hopefully we can just fix, because, like, this is how I cross it. It's so stupid. And yeah, the Loblaws. Love this place. Can't wait to be able to get to it easier in the future. Anyway, on to the Runnymede underpass. A critical connection between Ward 5 and the Junction and Swansea and all that. They keep kind of fixing this place, getting it almost perfect. As you can see, the cycle tracks leading up to it. You know, this is on the 26th, the day after I posted the last video. And it's pretty good, except it's obvious that there's a whole bunch of ice through there. So I'm just like, no, I'm going to do what almost no cyclists are willing to do. Because there's no drivers behind me right now, because I can do 35 easily on my road bike, you know, and I got great lights on the back of my bike, whatever. I'll just bypass all this ice that's in this that's in the cycle track and get my butt over to the grocery store the easy way. Now, on my way home, I was feeling a bit more adventurous and I had a whole bunch of groceries on me, so I was a little slower. So I'm like, okay, if there's ice in here, I will just walk through it. I'll just treat it like a sidewalk. It's better than nothing, right? And yeah, this was the, yeah. So, both cycle tracks, February 26th, totally iced up. I mean, I have made probably 20 different service requests for this place over the past month and a half, and I think there's been like 2 times when I've been able to go through it. There's another cyclist who's like, nope. And they were obeying the law too. Like, that takes determination to walk through there. Yeah. So this is the 28th. It's still pretty messed up. Using it anyway. And I'm like, well, at some point maybe they'll deal with it. Maybe. Coming back home from work on the 28th, I'm like, well, I guess I'm walking. Sometimes I just don't feel like cycling with the drivers or cycling on the sidewalk, or, I mean, I haven't used that sidewalk in forever with my bike, you know, it's just, since this bike lane is now protected, it's a better sidewalk anyway, so yeah, here I am walking it again. As you can see, it's full of debris too. So I called in a 311 request. Well, I sent it over using the internet about the debris. And the result was they put up a service request. They're giving themselves a month to take care of it. So yeah, there's going to be a bunch of garbage in the bike lanes for at least a month now. That kind of sucks. So this is March 1st on my way to work, and I decide I've had enough. I'm taking matters into my own hands. I'm not willing to, you know, just keep dealing with this as it is. And so there's all this extra salt lying around. You know, I could buy salt and just let all this extra salt pollute the environment, or I could solve 2 problems at the same time. I mean, it's municipal salt. It was bought and paid for by the city. It's hanging around where it's not needed. I might as well put it where it is needed. There's certainly more than enough of it lying around here and there. There's lots of salt everywhere. So this is me salting the bike lanes myself. It's not a lot of work. Might as well do it. Hopefully it helps. You know, why not, right? Why not? But I didn't really have any salt on my way home, so once again, just walking through here or whatever. So the next day, this is March the 2nd, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, the salt has done its thing. I've checked the weather. There's no warm spells anytime soon. This ice situation is gonna be here for like a week, and I'm just not willing to let it be here for a week. I'm just not. So it's time to, you know, get serious. Shovel's not working. Can't really scrape the ice off. So here we go once again. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I made sure that this tool is not going to do any damage to the road surface. Do not use a full-size pickaxe for this because you will mess up the surface of the road. But with the small one, it's just right. It's perfect. It's can't damage the road. I mean, I'm not very strong, so definitely not going to be able to damage the road. But you can just barely cut up a path through the ice. I mean, it takes a while, and then you got to sweep the ice away. And this is what I could have avoided by just sweeping the slush away in 5 minutes. When it was, I know I keep saying this, I'm just like annoyed with myself here. Lazy people end up with extra work to do. You know, this applies to me, this applies to the city. When you fail to plan, you plan to do a lot of scraping. Scraping, picking, just to make a little path. Just so that you could actually bike through it or like walk through on the pavement, you know, without slipping on it. Even walking through here when it's all iced up is hard. It sucks. And, you know, I'm just casually doing this on my way to the grocery store. Because why not, right? And just casually doing it on my way back from the grocery store. With this spot, I cut 2 channels, one for the cyclist and then one for the meltwater, because it's all blocked up here, and that's what's made it iced up along the, you know, across the whole cycle track. So just one spot after another, just cutting a path through. And I'm like looking to make sure, you know, I don't have anybody crash into me. And I noticed somebody. She's asking if the other side is like this, and I'm like, not anymore. So I'm just explaining, like, I just cleared a little track here. She's like, thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm glad I saw you and slowed down. And I'm like, yeah, no. This, yeah. I mean, good thing I'm the only cyclist in the whole ward, the only person using it. Well, I was doing the other side. I had cyclists go past me. So, you know, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And then have this little chat with this person who on Facebook had noticed one of my posts about this and said, yeah, I wiped out in this place the other day. We got to deal with this. And so, you know, this turned into kind of a good little networking opportunity. We had a lengthy discussion about the issues. And that was nice. That was encouraging. So I managed to clear a channel for cyclists to use. Clear a channel from there to the storm drain so that any water that ended up there could drain out. shoveled all the slush onto the side, shoveled all the slush out of the cycling space, and then I was like, you know what? If I don't cut a channel for the meltwater, this is all going to be in vain, because it's just going to pool there and ice back up. And cutting the channel for the meltwater turned out to be not that tough. So, dug it all out, and look at that. Water flowing freely. It's a beautiful thing. I felt like a damn hero after this. But, you know, there's still a bit more stuff to take care of. But, you know, I'm like, okay, well, I can just barely get through here, so I'll just salt up the rest and, you know, get my groceries home and go to work. But, you know, on the way to work, I figured, well, I might as well salt up the rest of the stuff on the other side. So, time to collect some more salt. Got some salt on that lane, and guess I might as well sweep aside what I can. Some of this had become slush, so I threw salt on it, and then like 2 seconds later I'm sweeping everything aside, including the salt. And then the professionals showed up. I was so happy to see them. I'm like, awesome. Now these people showed up, you know, prepared with a serious amount of salt. The first thing they said to me was, "Oh, it's that bad, eh?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty bad." So, you know, it's nice to see city people are on the case, and I can just go to work now. And I still wasn't late for work this time. That was good. Now this is blurry, and this is at night, you know. But I just wanted to show, like, this is why I use a bicycle. People always talk about, like, oh, bicycling is just so good for exercise. And it's just, it connects you to the community. And it's so good for the environment. And all of that is totally true, but including the walking I would have to do, and including the waiting for the bus and all this stuff, this is like a half-hour bus trip, easily. And if I was driving it, I don't know, maybe it's like a 15-minute drive. Okay, look. This is 4 minutes into an 18-minute video. This is from Swansea to Syme. This took me 18 minutes on a bike. Cycling is fast. It is not slow. Cycling is really fast. This is February in the dead of winter. It's cold. I got the right gloves. I had to make my own mitts. I don't care. Nobody wants to sell the right type of gloves. There's certainly no, you know, industrial conspiracy going on there. You just happen to have to make your own mitts in order to bike through the winter. Sure, that's completely by accident, totally by coincidence. But if you can do that, if you can maintain the roads yourself, you can do this half-hour bus ride, this 15-minute drive, in 18 minutes on a good day on your bike. I had a bunch of energy because, like I say, I felt like a total hero all day after fixing Runnymede myself. And because of the work I did, here's me going through Runnymede, through the underpass. I mean, at low speed, but at least I could actually use it. All the salt they laid down is gone. Like, the salt, it dissolves into the ice. The ice kind of melts into icy slush. The slush just freezes back up again. So, in places, the issue is, the detail is, in places where there's no direct sunlight ever, ice doesn't get melted by salt. This is the, you know, this is the realization that I'm hoping the transportation services people will make. And slush is not cleared by bicycle tires the way it's cleared by car tires. we can just deal with this one slush thing, if we can just deal with the leaf litter, we will be laughing because, like I said, I'm not even rushing. Like, this is me, really calmly going through my commute. This is an 18-minute bike ride. This is a half-hour ride on transit. This is a 15-minute drive. Cycling is fast. It's fast when you're not on a mountain bike on the sidewalk. And when you're not on a big heavy cruiser on the edge of the road. When you're using a road bike on the road, on the smooth part of the road, or in a good cycle track, cycling is fast. Do it.